In this session, we will learn how to complete the Section 41 application in the NexSys system. My name is Kelly Alvarez, and I am the English Learner Consultant for the Michigan Department of Education. The Section 41 application has a foundation of partnership between three key individuals: the pupil accountant, the EL coordinator, and the fiscal office representative. The pupil accountant's job is to ensure that there's accurate demographic data being reported in MSDS. This accurate data will support the appropriate allocation of Section 41 funding. The EL coordinator is responsible for implementing the EL program and is knowledgeable about the requirements and the needs of the program. This person is a key contributor to the creation of the budget line items and the activities that are funded in the grant. The fiscal office representative is a person that's knowledgeable about state and federal grants and the rules about writing line items to complete grants in the NexSys system. This person will have access to NexSys and will support the pupil accountant and the EL coordinator to input the data that is required for the grant. Eligible students. Section 41 is a categorical funding source that is designed to enhance the district's existing supports for English learners. And these English learners have English language proficiency between 1.0 and 3.9 on the WIDA Access for EL's summative assessment. The funds are weighted, with more funds available for students with lower levels of proficiency in English and less funding for those with more advanced levels of proficiency. The exact amount of funding based per proficiency level changes from year to year based on our legislators, but generally the funds are weighted with more funding for students with newer levels of proficiency in English and less funding for those that are gaining more proficiency in English. There are two main services that are required for all English learners on general fund. It is required to provide all ELs with English language development instruction. That's one of the requirements on a regular basis. This is a general fund requirement. This must be provided by an ESL or bilingual education endorsed teacher. It's a common misconception that folks think that you cannot receive Section 41 funding if you do not have a teacher or you have insufficient teachers in your district. If you do not have an ESL teacher or you have insufficient number of teachers to provide regular English language development instruction for all of your English learners, you must devise a plan on how you're going to address this issue within 3 to 5 years. The second thing that you need to require for all ELs, or that are required for all English learners, it is required to provide meaningful access to the core curriculum. This is when general education staff deliver content in ways that provide access to the learning independent of the language proficiency of the student. Many districts implement things like the SIOP model. They have parapros that push in to provide language assistance to students in classes. And there are many other ways to provide meaningful access to the core curriculum, but the English language development instruction and meaningful access to the core curriculum are the two requirements for all English learners, and all must be on general fund. Let's talk a little bit about budget line item descriptions. Budget line item descriptions are key to ensuring that your application is reviewed promptly and that we avoid having to require many modifications. We've created a resource, and if you use your QR scanner or pause the video, you can navigate to that here. Click on the second tab. You'll notice that the first tab has Title 1C. The second tab is Section 41 and Title 3. Line item descriptions must include pertinent information. You have to make sure you say what you are funding. You have to state how much each item will cost, and you need to say how many you'll purchase. Depending on what you're going to be doing and the activities that you're going to be funding, there are other requirements, and each one is outlined in the document that is highlighted here at this resource. Okay, now we're going to step through the NexSys application. The first thing that you're going to come to is the cover page. The cover page has a few things. The first is primary and secondary contact. It's really helpful if in this area you could include the name of your fiscal contact in one of the contacts, either primary or secondary, and then also an EL program contact. We use these contact names and information when we have updates or technical assistance to provide to the field around section 41. So having both the fiscal and the EL person present on the primary or on the cover page helps us to ensure that all of the people that need the information get it at the same time. The next two pages that you'll see are the assurances and the important information. Just review these, read them, and ensure that you're checking all of the boxes that are required on each of those pages. As you move down the green column on the left, you'll come to review grant selections. This section allows funds to be loaded into your application. You need to click apply now for both the bilingual 41 or section 41 bilingual education radio button, as well as the section 41 bilingual education carryover if you had carryover from the prior year. If you did not have carryover and have nothing to report that was unspent from the prior year, click do not apply for the carryover radio button. As we continue down the green navigation bar on the left, we are now at student counts. This is a very important screen that helps us understand the demographic makeup of your school and the number of teachers you have in place to serve those students. The eligible students section in the 1 to 1.9, 2 to 2.9, and 3 to 3.9 are loaded by MDE, and they are based off of the counts of students that took the WIDA Access for ELL's assessment in the prior year. In the total FTE section, this is where districts need to let us know. We need to know how many teachers in your district have the bilingual endorsement. You would do that by typing a whole number on this line. How many teachers have the ESL endorsement? Again, here. How many teachers with permits for EL teacher placements? Here. And this is this last one says ESL or bilingual education endorse teachers responsible for English language development instruction. These would be known as your ESL teachers or your EL teachers in the district. And these teachers' primary responsibility is to support students' language development in English. Fill that number in here. It's likely represented in one of the numbers above, so that would not be in addition to these. This would be the total number of bilingual, the total number of ESL, the total number of teacher placements with permits for EL. And then this last one would say how many of those teachers are teaching ELD or English language development. Continuing down, we move from student counts to the program plan. This program plan section is key to having a successful application. You'll notice that there's some new components at the top. It says, what is the actual amount of carryover from 2021 and 2022? If when you reported on July 15th, 2022, the amount that you reported as carryover has changed, maybe you had expenses from then until September 30th, and you did not modify your report to update the new amount, we want you to type in the amount of carryover that is actual in this line. Okay, so I put here, if the amount of carryover differs from what was reported in the prior year's report on July 15th, enter the correct total amount here. So this is what is actually left of carryover. The next part is the program type. We want to know what type of programs you are offering in your district. These program types mirror those that are reported in MSDS manual. These are reported to MSDS from your local SIS, and you should work with your pupil accountant to identify the program types that are being assigned to your EL students and indicate those here. On that same screen, program plan, but lower down, so just below the program type, there is a cell to type. You can see there's 5,000 characters. Approximately 50% of the required modifications for section 41 are due to lacking detail in this section. Be sure to include your measurable goal and a description of how you plan to use the funding. The measurable goal needs to be specific to English learners, but does not need to be a new goal outside of one you may already have for your district. Note, so in here, we write our measurable goal and our description of how we plan to use the funding. Both of those things need to be in this box. In addition, if you noted that you had 0 teachers above in the student counts section, or you noted that you were lacking sufficient teachers, then you need to describe your plan to come into compliance with your staffing in this box as well. So those 3 things would be here. Okay, moving down, we're now into the budget section. Here's a note. The items that you put in this budget section should align to what you described in the program plan. For example, if you said you were going to run a summer school program for your multilingual learners using section 41 funds in your program plan, then your budget detail should have details about the summer school that you're going to run. For example, you would have teacher salaries. You might have materials and supplies for the summer school. You might have transportation for the summer school. That's what I mean when I say the budget items should align to the program plan. In this top section, we're going to budget the current year allocation. We're going to please ensure that you use the resource shared on slide 6 with the QR code to help ensure that all details are included for the different line items. Writing detailed and concise budget items aids in a prompt review and approval of the application. The other half of the application reasons we have to send applications back is because we have incorrect function codes or the descriptions are lacking detail. So use that cheat sheet that's created for you to help ensure that you have all the components that are required for each of the line items. This is a brand new section, carryover budget summary. In the past, you had to upload an Excel document of your carryover budget. Now we have an actual budget section for carryover. In this section, you'll only budget carryover funds. So you'll just take the amount that you had in carryover and create a budget for those amounts. Note, funds are spent in a first in, first out or FIFO basis. It doesn't matter if you're spending the stuff that was budgeted on the carryover budget or the current year budget. The first funds that are spent from your district deplete the carryover funds first, and then you once those are fully exhausted, you move into the current year funding. That's also a common misconception. Again, budget items should align to the description provided in the program plan. And then there's a contact information section added to this carryover budget, just repeat the same contact information that was provided on the first page of the application. Finally, the last component of the application is an attachment section. This is optional, but sometimes districts have more detail that they would like to provide, or sometimes there are large line items that have an estimate from a provider or a company. If you're buying number of leveled readers, let's say, you might provide that estimate from the company here so that we can see the detail and don't have to go back and forth asking for more detail in the line item. Also, if you had more description that you'd like to provide from the program plan or the ESL teacher plan to bring yourself into compliance, you can upload those here. If you need assistance, don't hesitate to reach out. You can send your questions to mde-el@michigan.gov. Thank you.